Ring. Adam Walker's blood ran cold. It was 2 a.m. Nobody called at this hour. His hand trembled as he reached for the phone. Hello? His voice was hoarse, thick with sleep. A woman's voice, strained and unfamiliar, sent chills down his spine. Is this Mr. Walker? Adam Walker? Yes, it is. Who is this? There's been an accident. Your daughter... The voice cracked. Your daughter is dead. The police station was cold, sterile. The detective, a man with tired eyes and a receding hairline, spoke in clipped tones. We're doing everything we can, Mr. Walker. Everything? Adam's voice was raw. She was murdered. We're exploring all possibilities. The detective's gaze was flat, unconvincing. Days bled into weeks. The investigation stalled. The police had no leads, no suspects. Adam felt a growing rage. They didn't care. His daughter was just another case. The house was shrouded in silence. Adam's wife, Sarah, moved like a ghost. Their daughter's room remained untouched, a shrine to a life cut short. Meals were eaten in silence, conversations died before they began. Grief had become a wall between them. Adam couldn't bear it. He couldn't sit idly by. He had to do something. He had to find his daughter's killer. Adam dove into the city's underbelly, a place where the light barely touched and shadows whispered secrets. The air was thick with the scent of damp concrete and the distant hum of the city above. He moved with purpose, his footsteps echoing softly against the narrow walls of the alleyway. He frequented dimly lit bars, his eyes scanning the faces of hardened men. These were places where the lost and the dangerous converged, where every glance held a story, and every silence spoke volumes. Adam knew that in these murky corners he could find the answers he sought. He learned the language of the streets, the currency of secrets. It was a world where trust was a rare commodity, and information was traded like gold. Adam listened intently, picking up on the subtle cues and hidden meanings in every conversation. He knew that in this world, knowledge was power. He sought out his old contacts from his past life, men who moved in the shadows. These were individuals who thrived in the darkness, who understood the unspoken rules of the underworld. Adam's past was a tapestry of connections, each thread leading him closer to the truth. They spoke in hushed tones, offering cryptic clues. Every word was a piece of a larger puzzle, a hint that could lead him to the answers he desperately needed. Adam knew that deciphering these clues required patience and a keen understanding of the shadowy world he navigated. His search led him to Vince Morrow, a name whispered with fear and respect. Vince was a figure shrouded in mystery, a man whose influence reached far and wide. Adam knew that finding Vince was crucial, for he held the key to unraveling the secrets that haunted him. Vince was a fixer, a man who knew things. He operated in the shadows, pulling strings and making deals that shaped the city's underworld. Adam understood that to get the answers he sought, he would need to gain Vince's trust, a task easier said than done. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but Adam was determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. A name in the darkness. The room was thick with the scent of expensive cigars, the kind that left a lingering haze in the air, mingling with the heavy shadows that seemed to swallow the light. Vince Morrow's office reeked of expensive cigars and desperation. The mahogany furniture gleamed under the dim light, a stark contrast to the dark, oppressive atmosphere that filled the room. The smoke curled lazily from the cigar in the ashtray, adding to the sense of foreboding. Adam sat across from him, his hands clenched into fists. His knuckles were white, the tension in his body palpable. He had been waiting for this moment, the chance to get the information he so desperately needed. "I need information," Adam said, his voice low and dangerous. The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of his desperation. He leaned forward, his eyes locked onto Vince's, trying to read the man's thoughts. Vince studied him, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. He had seen men like Adam before, men who were willing to do whatever it took to get what they wanted. But there was something different about Adam, something that intrigued him. "Information comes at a price," Vince said, his voice smooth and calculating. He leaned back in his chair, tapping his fingers on the desk. He knew he had the upper hand, and he intended to use it. Adam placed an envelope on the desk. "I need a name," he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. The envelope was thick, filled with cash, a testament to how far he was willing to go. Vince's lips curled into a slow smile. He picked up the envelope, weighing it in his hand. He knew the name Adam was looking for, and he knew the power it held. Rico. "That's the name you're looking for," Vince said, his voice barely above a whisper. The name hung in the air, a promise and a threat all at once. Adam's heart pounded in his chest. He had the name, but what would it cost him? Face to face with evil, Rico. The name felt like poison on Adam's tongue. He found him in a secluded warehouse, surrounded by armed thugs. "You killed her," Adam growled, his voice shaking with rage. Rico laughed, a cold, heartless sound. "You shouldn't have dug around, old man." Adam lunged, his fist connecting with Rico's jaw. Gunfire erupted, filling the air with the stench of gunpowder and fear. The trail leads deeper. The warehouse fight was a chaotic blur. Adam fought with the ferocity of a cornered animal. He managed to escape, wounded but alive. He knew Rico wasn't working alone. There had to be someone else, someone higher up. He needed to find out who. His investigation led him to a corrupt judge, a man with ties to organized crime. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place. The reckoning. Adam confronted the judge in his opulent mansion. The judge, a frail man with fear in his eyes, denied everything. "You can't hide from the truth," Adam said, his voice cold and steady. He had evidence, proof of the judge's involvement in his daughter's death. The judge cracked, his composure crumbling. He confessed. He had ordered the hit. It was supposed to look like an accident. Justice served, but at what cost? The trial was a media frenzy. The judge's crimes shocked the city. He was found guilty, sentenced to life in prison. Rico and his men were apprehended, their reign of terror brought to an end. Justice had been served. But at what cost? Adam was a shell of the man he used to be. His family was broken, his heart was filled with a chilling emptiness. Picking up the pieces. Life after the trial was a struggle. Adam and Sarah tried to rebuild their lives, but the scars ran deep. The silence in the house was deafening. The empty room served as a constant reminder of their loss. They went to therapy, seeking solace in shared grief. But some wounds, they knew, would never truly heal. The ghost of vengeance. Years passed, the seasons changed, and the world moved on. But for Adam, time seemed to stand still. The weight of his past actions hung over him like a dark cloud, ever-present and unyielding. Adam found a semblance of peace, but the memories lingered. Each day was a battle to keep the ghosts at bay. He often found himself lost in thought, reminiscing about the days before tragedy struck. The old family photos were a bittersweet reminder of what he had lost and what he had fought for. He was haunted by the faces of the men he had confronted. Their eyes, filled with fear and anger, visited him in his dreams, turning peaceful nights into restless battles. The confrontations replayed in his mind, each detail etched into his memory, refusing to fade away. He had sought justice and found it, but it had come at a terrible price. The courtroom battles, the endless nights of planning and executing his revenge, had taken a toll on his soul. The gavel's slam was a hollow victory, a reminder of the cost of his actions. The ghost of vengeance still clung to him, a constant shadow. It followed him everywhere, a silent reminder of the line he had crossed. Every glance over his shoulder, every reflection in the mirror showed him the man he had become. He knew he had crossed a line, but he had no regrets. Standing on the edge of the cliff, he felt a strange sense of calm. The broken mirror reflected his fractured soul, but his journal entries were filled with a determined resolve. He had made his choice, and he stood by it. He had avenged his daughter's death. The grave was a solemn reminder of his loss, but also of his love. Kneeling by the tombstone, he felt a connection to her, a bond that even death could not break. The flashbacks of holding her hand were both painful and comforting, a reminder of why he had done what he did. He had done what he had to do. Walking away from the grave, he felt a sense of closure. The cityscape at dusk was a symbol of a new beginning, a chance to move forward. Sitting alone at the diner, he was not a man broken by his past, but one who had faced it head-on and emerged stronger. The ghost of vengeance was still there, but it no longer controlled him. He was ready to start anew, with a heart that had found peace in the midst of turmoil.